A chain of events led to a complete start over in my life in my 40s. Midlife, as they call it. Being a ruminator, I've thought about my start over, and about starting over in general, a lot. I thought about it pretty much constantly while it was going on, but I also did some reflecting again recently, with the benefit of some hindsight, and without the stress of being in the middle of the process. So I had a light bulb moment and thought, why not share some insights and tips I came up with from studying this at length to make big change easier for you. Because maybe you're confronting a significant life change, or perhaps starting to consider one, and that thought, if you're anything like me anyway, can be pretty daunting, totally overwhelming, and sometimes straight up terrifying. In this video, I'll share some things that I found make change less scary, how to do them, and how change can be easier and more manageable. To provide some context, I'm going to show you what happened when I didn't do what I'm sharing with you. Because instead of celebrating a job I was in, after a lot of work getting there, I decided to step down. My internal soundtrack was brutal. What will people think? And the B-side, will everyone laugh at me? Looking back now, I can see this was because of what I'd told myself and the meaning I had given getting promoted. And, progression. I had myself convinced that progressing in a job was the only acceptable way to succeed. But the thing is, I hadn't always thought that. I went on adventures abroad, took risks, but I think I forgot that person for a while. The management track seduced me with its simple promise: a successful life everyone would understand and approve of. And at first, I did like it, until I didn't. I won't even go into detail about why, in case it comes across negative, which I really don't want it to. In a nutshell, I couldn't overcome or get used to the sleepless nights and Sunday scaries that others seemed to be able to manage just fine. There was just too much going on, both in life and work and in life outside it, for me to be able to balance it all. I began to wonder if moving up maybe isn't the only way of moving forward. So what made starting over less scary? Well, the first thing I did was, of course, revert to type and try to fix the problem. I went to a coach and I told her I was feeling like success was more like a prison for me than a reward. It turned out, while I was struggling, feeling like I was drowning in what I thought was just normal stress, my coach, who had been there and done that, named it. Classic burnout. That label hit me like a thunderbolt. What I'd seen as life's inevitable challenges, what I'd been told were life's inevitable challenges, the exhaustion, the loss of joy, the disconnection from my old self, so that I didn't even know what I wanted instead anymore, wasn't, it turned out, normal at all. It wasn't some sort of badge of honour. This was a wake-up call. But recognising burnout was actually only the first step. What really changed everything wasn't another productivity hack or time management strategy. It was something I already knew well. In depth, in fact. But had, I suppose, become too busy to nurture it. Something that goes against everything we're taught about success and growth. I'm talking about embracing yin and feminine energy in your life's transition. Are you intrigued? Let me tell you why this is a game changer. In order to tell you why, and then tell you how, let me first ask you something. Are you a bulldozer or a river? The bulldozer approach, that's hustle culture. Pure masculine energy. Grinding, forcing, pushing through obstacles. You'll reach your destination, but at a cost. You arrive exhausted, burned out, and leaving a trail of destruction behind you. But what if there's another way? A river doesn't fight. It flows. It adapts. It shapes entire landscapes without breaking. This is a yin way of life. It's feminine energy, not weakness, but a different kind of power. It's understanding that sometimes letting go is stronger than holding on. And it's your secret weapon for midlife transformation. Now think about how effortlessly you already hold and handle multiple dimensions of life. Relationships, work, home, dreams. That's feminine energy in action. It's not just multitasking. It's creating entire ecosystems where possibilities flourish. And you're already doing it every single day. What if you approached your transformation in the same way? Everything changed for me when I remembered the power of yin and feminine energy that I'd spent years studying and practicing, but that I think I had become too busy to remember. I started to let it guide my path more. I let it inspire authentic changes, and by this I mean I chose changes that I actually wanted. Instead of forcing changes, I learned to flow with them. When something didn't work, I'd try a gentle, and sometimes not so gentle push, or two. If it still resisted, I'd let it go and find another way. It was like rediscovering an old strength, this ability to bend rather than break, to be guided by intuition rather than forceful direction. When I gave this fluid way of transformation a chance, everything started to change, and fast. So how do you do it? Well, I'll share some things that worked for me that might work for you too. Because maybe you're afraid of looking foolish, or worried it's too late financially to start over, or maybe you're spooked at the prospect of leaving your sure thing behind. I feel you. Let me use nature, the ultimate feminine force, to explain. Think of your transformation like a permaculture garden rather than a manicured, controlled landscape. I'm into permaculture these days, hence the gardens, rivers, bulldozers all over the shop. Here's a secret no one will tell you. Real change isn't about forcing growth on the outside. It's about creating the right conditions and letting things emerge naturally. You don't drag plants into existence. You prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and then observe. You nurture, you wait. This yin approach makes starting over less scary because you're not forcing anything. You're in the driver's seat. You're creating space for new possibilities to grow, and you don't even need to know exactly what else you want yet. Because it's preparation over pressure, intuition over intensity, allowing over forcing. And here's the beautiful paradox. By stepping back, you actually gain more control. It might seem slower at first, but the results can surprise you. Do you want to know how easy it is? First, let me pause here to tell you something important. You're not the only person in the world to be feeling what you're feeling. Far from it. Many professional women I know are juggling a hidden first full-time job. A whole life outside work, their second full-time job. It's squeezed into early mornings, late nights and weekends, but they're always holding it, all of it, whichever of the locations they're in. And at our age, many of us are also caring for aging parents. We're all running on this hamster wheel of responsibility while time flies by at warp speed around us. So going back to how easy it is, listen, embracing feminine energy isn't about being a passive bystander in your own life, because who has time for that? It's about presence. And though that sounds simple, a yin or feminine energy approach can seem counterintuitive if you're stressed or overwhelmed. It's the opposite of diving into immediate assertive action, which is the go-to response to fix a problem, right? But luckily, the more you practice it while you're calm, the more the habit sticks. So starting small is the very first step. Taking baby steps builds trust in the process and reinforces your self-worth and faith in yourself that you can do this. You're already an expert in yang methods, so to see how a change to yin might feel, try this experiment. For a week, pause before decisions. Notice your gut reaction and compare it to your logical choice. You'll find your intuition is sharper than you might have thought. You may also find, like I did, that you act on your intuition way more than you consciously realised anyway. Balancing structure with flow doesn't mean abandoning organisation or escaping reality, nor is it about numbing out to escape. That's checking out of your own life. It's about tuning in. That's transformation. Stepping back, observing and responding is a radical act of taking responsibility. Tuning into your body's feelings and emotions, in other words being present, has power. And that's maybe what can be tricky about how to do it. It's very different to how we live life, isn't it? Now that you're aware of this, you might be eager to stretch your yin muscle further and unlock even greater possibilities for change. There are self-care practices to really embody what we've discussed. So watch this video here next and find out how to feel more fulfilled in your life and find healing in midlife in just 1 month.